So this is an interesting video that I found. I'm using the crappy camera again, so it doesn't seem to be working. Or should I not use this? Oh. Okay, this is the bad camera that doesn't seem to, no. Just ignore my face. I don't care if the voice does not match my my whatever. I can't be bothered to turn the other computer on. It takes too long. But yeah, it's just an interesting video that I found because this guy is a clearly broken guy, and he's had a horrible life, but I feel like it's very much his fault. He was very much the bad guy. He was very much someone who would leave school from a very young age to go and do drugs, and he's admitted to being addicted to all sorts of drugs throughout his whole childhood. He admitted of finding a girlfriend who was a bit younger than him, who was very innocent, he describes, and saying that he got her hooked on drugs, and he got her kids, her son, no, her brother hooked on drugs too, and then they ended up having a kid. And even though, throughout the whole pregnancy, apparently they were doing meth or some other kind of drugs, I'm not too sure what, a big long list of it, and they were doing it every single day, no regards to the kid, no regards to how they're going to look after the kid if they're high, no regards to the safety of the child. And throughout his childhood, he said he used to always start fights, that the teachers didn't know how to sort of tell him off because he would just not listen. He was the kid who got away with everything. So basically his whole video is about him going on about what a bad person he was. And this interviewer is just, it's called Satanic Defilement Ritual Survivor. So to me it just sounds like someone who's a terrible person, has done nothing but cause problem after problem. And okay, he said that he was sexually abused by, he was living in a trailer park when he was between the age of 4 and 8 or something, or 10 maybe, and some neighbor from another neighbor trailer park was sexually abusing him from a young age. But throughout the whole thing he keeps wanting to blame Satan, doesn't blame himself. He doesn't think about the victims. And I'm listening to there's like lots of little messages that keep popping up on it, people saying, oh wow, it's a miracle you're alive, and stuff like this. And I'm just like, no, you sound like a freaking demon. I think the world would be better without you. Like, I'm listening to this and I'm just hearing, I wonder what the victims of these people would say. The people you'd start fights with. Did they want to start fights with you? The teachers who let you go off school and come back 2 hours later with a bunch of drugs in your pocket. Did they want to do that, or were they just afraid of what you were doing, what you might do if they stopped you? You said that these teachers didn't complain about what you were doing because they knew you would take it too far and you would go off and do something like horrendously bad. So throughout the whole of it, he is portraying himself as a monster whilst doing nothing but blaming Satan for his spiritual deception. And to me it just sounds like the world would be much better off without him. I'm reading the comments and I'm thinking, how can anyone listen to this and just be like, oh wow, you deserve, you deserve happiness for everything. You were a terrible person and you need to stop blaming Satan for your problems and your choices. You need to stop. Okay, you went through something bad when you were younger, but you look like the type that don't give a shit about your own daughter, that you will let your wife continuously take drugs and get high, and the child was taken away at 3 months. But I'm just thinking, like, what did that child go through during those 3 months and during the 9 months of the fetus being in the body? Is this child going to come out deformed or something because of all the drugs that the wife was taking? And I don't know, he's showing no remorse for anything he's done, and he's always just trying to blame it on Satan. Satan told me this. And then he starts telling me how there was one time where he got a house, he got a good job, don't know what he was doing, doesn't say anything about how he earned that money, because if he earned that money through drug selling, and that's how he bought a 2-bedroom house maybe, but it looked like it got repossessed because he got hooked on drugs again, and hence didn't pay the mortgage, and then it looked like the house got taken away. I'm listening to this story and I'm just thinking, like, I would want to know the victims of the whole life. There probably is a whole string of victims. He admitted that he was a child that no parent in the school wanted their child to be friends with him because of his violent streaks and his drug abuse and stuff like this. And I'm looking at the comments in the page, and all they are thinking is, oh, Jesus can help you, Jesus can save you, yes, you're a good person now because you've turned to Jesus. And it's just completely ignorant to any problems he's caused during his life. And then he talks about this one hype after his child was taken away from him, where there was this seductress spirit, and this seductress spirit told him that the Bible was inverted and that Lucifer was a bad person, and that Jesus was leading you on and he's just like completely not realizing that he's still believing the lie. By believing in Jesus, he is still believing in the lie. So it's strange, because when he was talking about this female voice, this sort of sexual seductress, it kind of reminded me of the voice that I heard when I first found out that I was Christ. I felt like there was voices in my head telling me that, look at this page and you'll find something interesting. And I did find something interesting, and I started looking around the room and noticing that quite a lot of the religious paintings or religious things that my mom had in the room all seemed to point to a female Christ, and just me as well. And there was a weird, strange conversation that woke me up to the fact that I was Christ, and this was on June the 13th, for 3 days. And what he experienced seemed to be a similar thing to what I experienced, only I wouldn't call that demonic. I would call this the sort of the truth that eventually exposed. And okay, this guy said that this voice led him into the cupboard, only to find more shots, and then he took them and then got completely messed up afterwards. If that was me, I wouldn't be surprised. And why did I do that? Why? Because I wanted to kill him, because of his whole existence. And so to think that if there's a spirit that led him into the cupboard to try and get him to take drugs, it's interesting how his first reaction is that spirit is evil, rather than think actually that spirit is good and was just trying to kill me because I was evil. It's like if there's a spiritual war going on, you have to understand that if there is a spirit that's trying to kill you, but if you've just given we're on 30 minutes of this video, if you've given a 30-minute talk about how shit you are and how awful of a person you are, and how you've got your wife is now in prison because of all the drug taking and probably maybe theft that she did to pay for these drugs or something. I don't know why the wife is in prison, but if you think about all the crimes that you've ever committed to feed your drug addict, your drug addiction, and putting your own child at risk by allowing the mother to take meth throughout the whole of her pregnancy, and losing the child and being like, oh no, I'm so upset. No, that child is better off without you if you're going to leave needles around the house or everywhere for children pick things up and put them in their mouth. Would you want them to pick up a needle and put it in their mouth? These things might mess you up, but it would kill a child. So I just he said that there was drugs all over his house and stuff, and he'd lost the house because they'd repossessed it, but he managed to break in. So even though he'd been chucked out, he still managed to break in. So clearly he's one of these tenants that don't leave when you try and get rid of them. But yeah, the whole video was just completely deflecting on anything he's done, blame it all on Satan, and then suddenly a demonic or a spirit comes, leads him into the cupboard and tells him to take some more drugs to mess himself up. To me that doesn't sound like a devil. That sounds like a hero that's trying to kill this bastard. That's how I'm understanding it. And it's just really strange how he doesn't see it this way. And he's talking about how Aleister Crowley had the same thing, but yeah.
Hearing me through my brain, so much so we're like full happening, like full climax, and I didn't even have to touch myself like at all. Like that's literally what this thing was doing to me. Okay, so after that, this other demon that laid out the pentagram, it looks at me very deeply with honor, as if I'm this chosen one. Okay.
I'm trying to get this camera to actually show what he looks like. It's making his face look white again. Okay, this is a silly camera again. Is that better? Okay, we got that angle. We can use that angle.
Okay. And it's like, we're gonna tell you the secret that no one
and let me know. He said that this spirit made him feel like the chosen one. To be honest, I just think that's his arrogance and his pride, because he said throughout the whole of it he had so much arrogance and so much pride. So maybe this is just him having a prideful moment where he thinks he's special.
One knows you're in the upside down, and the truth is the Bible's been twisted, and Lucifer is actually the light bearer. He left heaven to give the world good things. Okay, this.
I wouldn't say Lucifer's the good guy, but I don't think he's the criminal in this. I would say Jesus is the criminal, because he's the one who's pretending to be Christ when he's not. He's the fictional character that doesn't actually exist, and he's just leading people on because they want Christ to be a male.
This is what he tells me. And Jesus actually doesn't want you to have any good things. That true heaven is when, with under the right supervision, we find this worldly pleasure. We pleasure, like, that's what he was telling me. And he said that Lucifer left heaven to do good, right? Words he used, okay, like geometrician was literally words he used. At the time, I'd never heard anything like this before, ever. I was like a Christian, okay? Like, I grew up a lukewarm Christian, but I still believed in Jesus, okay? So
it's amazing how he spent half an hour going on about what an awful person he was, and now he's also confessing that throughout this whole time where he was just taking drugs and where people didn't like him and he was causing problems, don't know how he's paying for the drugs and stuff, he was a Christian throughout that whole time.
It tells me that, and while it tells me, so we look at each other, we use our words and our thoughts to express words, and it's up to the other person to, like, the way they receive it. But when you let a demon in, he just tells you things and you believe it. So as he was saying it to me, it was making sense. I was like, oh, dude, the world's twisted. They're all tricked. I was like, Lucifer's good. Like, I started believing it. After that ritual, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and I'm going to make big connections. Like, you can do research on Aleister Crowley. Okay.
Well, I'd love to ask him is why do you think it's okay to keep blaming the devil for your mistakes and why is it always about the things that the evil spirits and the evil demons do to you, rather than the things that you've chosen to do out of your own conscience? It's like he can't accept the fact that it's him that's the one with the problem, and because he can't accept that he's the one with the problem, he's just accusing other people or other things, other spirits.
You can do research on his developments and his research, and you're gonna.
And this guy's a complete idiot. He's just smiling, no response, just lapping it up. He's not giving any kind of input or anything.
Find out he did all the exact same things, and he called himself the Beast, and he was looking for the Scarlet Woman, defiling women, okay, to do strong magic and allow the beast that he worshipped to enter that woman, okay? I'm talking to the T. Every bodily fluid, the words flipping Lucifer to be the light bearer and Jesus being evil, the drugs, the trauma, every bit of it is literally the practice of Aleister Crowley and deep, dark occultism rituals, okay? Yes, Crowley. This guy, that guy. He practiced defilement rituals. On a small level. He would just do it to like one person at a time. He believed he was the beast, and he was using full defilements and full pleasure and all that to build magic, and he was trying to find the Scarlet Woman. When I say the Scarlet Woman, I'm talking about Revelation 17. There's a woman who rides on the back of the beast.
I kind of like it when he talks about this, because I'm pretty sure he's talking about me. But yeah, can you please note that there's no sin in defilement? Defilement under consent is not a problem. Defilement can mean, just having sex, arousing them, doing stuff. That can be defilement, but if it's done under a person's consent, and choice, and if they are over the age of, I guess, 18, but I don't know, it can be debatable whether 16 or 17 is okay or not. I mean, it's not if they get pregnant, but if it's a one-off I don't think it's hugely bad.
And she seduces the world into sin and seduces the kings of the world into sin. Okay? The stuff that, if you look at the ritual, what it can...
I don't turn the world into sin. The world is already full of sin. The world is already full of guys like this who believe that if they do shitty stuff, it's not them. It's just them following demonic spirits, and that's all it is.
It's a pentagram type ritual, 5 major points, and the pentagram represents a portal into one's soul. So if you ritualize these 5 major points and cause someone to go through them like a science, they will be opened up and possessed with a demon. It's just like the man who had a legion of demons in him in the Bible. What types of stuff did he do so Lucifer has spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to enter people, okay? And I learned all that. I'm going to talk more about my story because I end up getting knowledge.
This is just you saying that I've done a lot of shitty things in my life and I don't want to blame myself. I want to blame Lucifer or Satan. Something has come into me, entered into me, did all these things to me, so I am not to blame. I'm completely innocent. That's all you are doing. And it's just...
knowledgeably into deep, dark occultism, antichristism, working with spirits to spread their spirit out. It started out dark like this, but once I let him in, he was able to just it got crazy. So the ritual, it's 5 major points of defilement, okay? And I've gone through a lot to get this information out, all right? This ritual is 5 major points of defilement. It's worship of self, false god worship, sexual stuff and trauma, sorcery, which is like using, like the drugs are the sorcery. That's what was explained to me. Drugs, poisons, bad foods, pharmacy.
He's just basically saying that his whole life is like a satanic ritual because he's taken drugs, because there was sexual abuse when he was younger, because he, well, I guess poverty would have been one aspect as to why he turned down this path, and his dad also being part of 2 big biker gangs. He mentioned that, but it also sounded like he didn't really know that much about his dad, so it looked like he left him at a young age, but didn't actually say that. But the fact that he said that he doesn't know it through his own speaking with him, he only knows this through other family members, kind of makes me feel like he doesn't have a good relationship with his dad. But yeah, I don't know. He's trying to blame his problems on satanic rituals and satanic practices when really he's confessing that that he's been believed in Jesus all his life. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop this. I just found it annoying how there are loads and loads of people that have huge amounts of faults, and people wouldn't like listen to this story and think, I wonder how those teachers felt. I wonder what those people who he used to fight with. I wonder how he funded his constant drug obsession. And I wonder how that kid turned out because her mum was taking drugs throughout her whole pregnancy. And I wonder what that kid is thinking, or I wonder what that social service worker is thinking, or I wonder why those teachers didn't want to call him out on anything. You know, maybe if he was such a bad person, maybe him leaving the school for a couple of hours was actually good for them because they didn't have to look after him during these 2 hours. You know, if he was that bad of a person, I want to know the story from another person's perspective, and he's not thinking of anything like that. He said throughout the whole of it that he's just thinking of pride and himself, and yeah, he's trying to blame this demon told him about some sort of ritual, but his whole life seems to be about self and worship of himself and worship of false god, this Jesus character who he's confessed to believing in all his life. And I hate people, and I hate the people, the Christians who would watch this and be like, wow, it's a miracle that you're alive. No, I think it's a problem that you're alive, because you're going to be causing problems with other people. And there's so many people that are just don't deserve to be alive, and then to have other idiots say, wow, it's a miracle you're alive. No, I think it would be a miracle if you were dead, because that would be better for the world.